Welcome back with Happy Chappy. So today is going to be modern slavery, and will explain my side and what I know of it and how I'm involved in it because it's circulating around me at the moment. It's always been circulating around me, which brings me to birth, a birth certificate. So when we have a birth certificate created, parents go and sign the form, which is signing as an agreement. And what is happening is you're signing over the rights of your child. Now, before this is even created, there's a certificate created within the place of birth, the hospital, and prints of your hands and feet are taken and they're sent off. And through common law, what I found is I believe that they go to the Vatican so they can keep trace on who you are. So, as your parents sign the birth certificate, they're signing you over, and you're classed as a dead person. And all your rights are given to the government. You're looked at as part of a cooperation as a dead person or entity, and you become a person controlled by a cooperation, which is what you really are when you think of cells. So, as you're a dead entity, you become part of this cooperation of government under their control, their laws. So, before we go any further, the contract, the birth cert, a contract has to be with someone that is seeing, someone that is knowledgeable about what is happening, with two witnesses. There has to be three in the party. The person that's making the contract, which would be you as a baby, and the two witnesses being your parents. Now, when this contract was created, it's created illegally because there's no way possible within your mind that you could enter into a contract with the knowing of anything about the contract, which is withheld from your parents anyway, that they don't even know as witnesses. So what you have is an illegal contract, where in an illegal system creates fraudulent acts playing a role as you, as a person, but the entity is dead because you haven't taken control of who you are as a cooperation of cells. So now moving on to the government, now that they've control of you, what you find is everything that you say, they create contracts, they create multiple contracts. From the beginning, I think it's 17, I think it's well into the 20s now, contracts. And they're all about energy usage, the energy that you create. It's all a circle around energy. And that's where the wealth of the world comes. You're placed on the stock market with a number, social security number. And that social security is where you go to get your funding whenever, or if you are unemployed, or if you are employed, to work through the social security for taxes and that. It's all worked through the social security. And with your social security number, these contracts are created and put on the market. So you get bidders to bid for you. It's all an illusion. And that's just, I don't want to get mixed up here. So these contracts are creating money on the stock market as people bid. Now the stock market is creating paper money, federal money, which is nothing but paper with a bit of writing on it, that we as people class as money, as something that is valuable, but it's not valuable at all. The only thing that was valuable was the gold, and the government took the gold from the people and created this pattern of contracts to entrap us into modern day slavery, which has been going on for so long now that we believe it's a way to be. And then when you think about it and you see people, we're always crying about our freedom. And this is why, because they've entrapped us into an illegal contracts in an illegal system that is unlawful. It's not lawful, it's legal in an unlawful world. Unlawful to you and unlawful to God. And they're carrying out these illegal contracts, bidding on paper money like monopoly. And we as the people are using it because we use it for exchange of currency now that the gold has been taken away from the people. Now, as the government's a cooperation, there's no standing single party that stands out that holds the gold. Now, what I've found and traced back, there is no place where the gold is. Where is it? Where's it gone to? What you'll find is a circulation or a pyramid of rogue companies playing the roles of government. And these companies are just out to make money, to claim land, property, so on. So following up on my social security number, I've tracked down, if it's been in the paper, in the Times, the Dubious Priest, where there was 800 companies mentioned. Now, you can't go by the papers, as we all know. And as I surely know now that I've had an interview with the person that wrote it, Tom Saunders, and how corrupt and manipulative and part of the system it is as a company. So what has happened is I traced up social security number, and I end up finding that we as the people are the controller of the corporation that we are. And as a corporation, you can have other businesses created off that corporation. And this is how the pyramid scheme becomes. So other people will go off that corporation and create their own companies. Now think of this, only for you, they could not create these companies. So lawfully, they belong to you. All belongs to you, the people. Now, as I traced all these up, they gave me a contract to be financial manager in the UK. And doing that, I entered into what I believed was releasing myself from the system, because that's what my aim was, to get out of the system. And from there, I came to Companies House and I downloaded 2 forms that was there. I filled in my details, and in return, I got codes to enter into the system. Nothing illegal, nothing unlawful, everything was straightforward. But what you'll find is, they said in the papers, I believe, that there was illegal documents that was produced. Now, if there were illegal documents, what are they doing on the Companies House? Why are they in the Companies House? Why are they there for the public to access? So I filled them out and had these codes, had the contract created, and before you know it, I was doing work there, unknowingly what I was really doing, to be honest. It was all pretty quick in how everything happened. And then I got alerted that it was illegal action that was happening. So then I had it all stopped and had it reported and had everything recovered that was done. So then I realized that, well, I didn't realize, I still don't till today, because someone had told me about this was illegal. Had someone that followed the filing, which is till today, I don't know if they're part of this or were they doing the same thing as I was doing, trying to just get out. So from then, I realized that there's a list of companies that do belong to me technically, and you as well, not just me, you as the people, uh, through these contracts, and they owe the people compensation for what they've done, fraud acts in claiming to be you. As every time that there's um, money exchanged over in these companies, you don't know nothing about it. You don't know nothing about these contracts. Yet they're held under you, on your back, created by you, and they do this through charities. And what I found out was the Charities Commission was connected where they're the company. And then you have like Companies House. All government is companies. Um, and they're running the country, running the world. And I trace this back from country to country as they're all over the place, which would bring up 5 A's, 9 A's, 14 A's, which is all just a way of labeling countries. You could Google it. They're just Europe. I believe it's all Europe. Legal parties. But what you'll find is these corporations are running in and out through these countries, controlling the world. And I believe India, I can't, it's been a while now. The Federal Bank of, it's one of the federal banks anyway, and my whole point is wherever I traced it back to, no one had the gold. So the point is, where's the gold gone to? Who took the gold? Somebody has to know. And if one person knows, and because we're in corporations here, there's more than one person that knows. As there's no standing out one person that's standing out the whole responsibility for any company. So who's holding the money? What corporations? Now, because you're in the legal system, you're legally bound to it by the contract that was created illegally. So when you go into court or anything like that, they've got a name for you, which was signed by your parents. But that's not who you are. That's just a legal name that was created to label you. But you're a creator, really. You create everything that was created in them contracts, and everything that is created in energy form is created from you, because you are the creator. We all are the creator. They wouldn't have anything out there only for the people. Now, as the creator, you're not seen as that in the government corporation. You're seen as a dead entity and classed as a person in the public. Slave. So all the energy that you do and all that you do creates value on the market, and they bid on you, which creates invisible money. And I know I'm missing part. I just don't want to make it too long because I wasn't intending to go this far. But it's circulating around me at the moment, so why not? And as I say, I found that company's house was involved, and I contacted them numerous times, where they've ignored me, fobbed me off. Or you'll find that somewhere on the site, or find that some where it tells you that that they would give you this, and when you ask for it, they're supposed to give it to you. Now, the contracts is between corporations, but you're not classed as a corporation, you're classed as a person. So how can that even be legal in the first place in their legal system? It's not. That's putting aside that the whole fraud and illegal act that had been taken through the contract that was created in the first place. But that has to be created between two corporations. And which it was, you were a corporation when you were born into that body of cells. But mind-wise, you didn't know what was happening. So from that, they've created many of contracts for you. And through your life, you've been using up energy as you grow, you eat, you do this, you use electricity, you maybe have a mobile, you move about. And they're watching everything that you do. They're following everything that you do to see what energy that is being used. And they're making money off this. And this is what you call modern day slavery. Because we just see it as, oh, this is just the way of life. No, it's not. This is a way of slavery that we've been illegally placed in. Also, there is another part of the legal system that shows that the legal system has been created unlawfully. That's more of an in-depth story. But if you go to common law court, you can find this online. So what you find is we're all, if you've got a social security number or anything alike, depends what country you're in, what it's called, but it'll be some kind of social security, where you can claim benefits. Where do you think the benefit money comes from? Like, it's just an office. It comes out of pure air. And it's them contracts that creates the money. Now, as they're creating the money, what you'll find is they go back to the federal bank to claim it. So what we're using when we fill out forms of any sort is forms, well, I'm in the UK, is forms of the UK they have created. And when we fill them out, they're for the UK, they're not for filing on to straight to the federal government. There's other files you can get. I can't think of the name. IRS. The IRS, you can get all the files, payment slips, the proper ones. And pay your bills and different things like that. Working direct. Now, what's to stop that from happening? we have to take out the government parties or corporations that are holding unlawful contracts and claiming for the people, claiming on behalf of the people, but they're also claiming other expenses to create other businesses and other contracts outside of them contracts, which could not even be created only for your existence. Anyway, as I say, this wasn't meant to go on as long. This is just a wee update about slavery, modern day slavery, and how we're all in it. And it's fallen. And it's going to fall. Because they have no legs to stand on. Everything's done illegally. And now what they need to do is compensate the people for what they've done. Because they don't own anything. No one owns any, as it's done and as it's stated in the contracts in companies, that no one's starting out to take responsibility of any of the companies. So they don't own any of them. The people own them. And who runs them? The people. All that we are doing is, as the people, filing papers, moving them to different places to keep the system going. But does any of them ever read the papers? No. So you don't even know what you're filing. What you're doing is you're in a process, processing things. But if you stop to read the little print and seeing what you're really processing is your life away, which has been since birth. Okay, that'll be for now, I believe. But your rights, what can I explain about your rights in this way, is that you're not bound by any of it, as it's all illegal. You can claim back your name and claim back the fictitious name which was given to you at birth and the fictitious certificate or birth certificate that was created to label you, and create a new birth certificate and create a new passport, create a new license, all through common law court, where you'll be lawful and not legal. But the legal action or the legal parties don't have any right over you anyway. When you go into a court, for example, and they call out your name, well, that's your legal name. That's not who you are. You can stand up and say, well, that's a name that I go by, but I'm a representative of that name. Because you're a corporation. You're not a single party as that name, as labelled. That was just the government labelling you as a single party. You're a whole corporation of cells. You're not just a single party. You're multiple. And that's how these corporations get away with it. Because then you can't label any one particular person to put them in a cell, to jail them. You're multiple cells. You're already in that cell, locked up, all them cells, and you're the one in control with your mind. And because you take that distinctive name or label, then you're ready from one cell to another cell, ready for that if you do anything that's out of their their control if you go against any of it. But taking that name away leaves you to a full cooperation, a cooperation of cells that isn't bound by any one single name or labelling by another government party. Because that's not who you are. Well, who you are is the creator. You're a part of all. And in that part, you hold a cooperation of cells to control as the creator within the body, so you can create. But by the government taking over you, they're creating on behalf of you, where you sit back and don't have control of who you are as a creator. Okay, as I say, this wasn't meant to go on this long, but hopefully this give you some kind of insight to where you stand and how the legal system is illegal. It's not law. No, it's not illegal. It's unlawful, sorry. The legal system is unlawful and does not carry out lawful acts. And you're not held by them. You are through a contract that's fraudulent. But if you stand up to it, they cannot hold you to anything. And if they do, they will be breaking the law. And what you'll find is for them to stand up to anything, to you, to use you in court or take you to court, a proper contract is between two people. So that needs to be signed by two people. Unless you signed any contract with another person and had witnesses, then there's no contract. And for that to be held in court, that person needs to be there in court to sort that contract out. Not a company, not a representative, that person. Two corporations, two people, two beings, two creators have to be there who signed the agreement. If they're not, then there's no court. There's no case. It's all corrupt. And everything that's done in that, the only way that that case can happen for them two parties that will be lawful is through common law court. You can't have a company as charging a legal person, as you're not a company, which they state in the legal system. Because they've signed an illegal contract. But you are a corporation, and once you step out of that company as a corporation, then you're liable as the corporation. But you have to hold all the rights of the corporation before you can actually be the corporation in any legal system. So even though you're a corporation, in the legal system, you won't be a corporation until all them rights are handed over to you. Which comes partially with common law taking back your legal name, which is fictitious name, and the fictitious birth cert. And there's many other forms and deeds you can get. If you go to the common law court site and look up deeds, but I go through and read it first, so you get an understanding. And there's not a lot to read about. It's pretty simple, straightforward. It's not a place to go for asking questions. It's a place to go for getting what you want. As in, where can I find this? You're not going to get an answer. You need to go and look for it. And that's through common law court. You have to show your responsibility in your actions at finding something. And that's where it'll show that you are cooperation, taking control of who you are. Where if you don't do that, well, then you're not taking control of who you are. You're not looking after who you are as a cooperation. Anyway, as a cooperation, this is Happy Chappy. Love and peace.